I'm not sure if you're aware that you got a technical foul tonight.
I'm aware, yeah.
Sometimes you come in here and you say, hey, I just didn't know. But
Yeah.
you said in the past you wouldn't change anything. But
Yeah.
how do you...
She said that she was guarding, like, she said she was locking me up, so I said scoreboard. And the ref didn't like that. But, I mean...
What quarter was this?
It was in the third.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got subbed in. Look right here. You got subbed in right after that.
We got a technical foul. It's not funny, Kelsey.
No, it's not.
Future is blindingly bright for the second-year player, Saniya Rivers. It is so good for Connecticut to have her back. And the jawing continuing between those two. And I think we've got double technicals here. Let's see. Initial foul on Rivers.
We need to have a very direct and very honest conversation about what is happening around Caitlin Clark heading into the All-Star break, because the situation developing on social media involving Connecticut Sun player Saniya Rivers documented the technical was issued, and that should have been the end of it. It was not the end of it. Rivers subsequently took to social media and began posting about the incident in ways that framed her as the aggrieved party. She expressed frustration, she addressed the online reaction that followed, and her post generated a significant response from both sides of the increasingly polarized fan has become the defining backdrop of this entire season. But here is what the footage of the original in-game exchange actually shows, and here is why the framing that Rivers deployed on social media requires honest scrutiny. The video record of the interaction indicates that Rivers initiated the exchange with Clark first. She was jawing at Clark during the play. Clark's scoreboard point came in response to that initiation, not as an unprovoked taunt directed at a player who was simply competing.
Got a technical foul tonight.
I'm aware, yeah.
Sometimes you come in here and you say, hey, I just didn't know. But you said in the past you wouldn't change anything. But
Yeah.
You got a technical.
how do you...
She said that she was guarding, like, she said she was locking me up, so I said scoreboard. And the ref didn't like that. But, I mean...
What quarter was this?
It was in the third.
Oh. Remember? Because you got subbed in.
Look right here.
You got subbed in right after that.
We got a technical. It's not funny, Kelsey.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I guess, how do you balance that when you know one more is the suspension? And
I mean, like, I'm never going to back down. And, you know, I think it was the same thing with the way Kelsey was in the first half, too. Like, you know, she got one in the eye. Like, she's never going to back down from a moment. And I think just, like, continue to try to control your emotions the best you can. And that intensity and that fire is what makes me me. But also, like, knowing my team needs me and finding a good balance of that. But, you know, I don't think, like, I'm going to be playing, like, with that in the back of my head. I think that might hinder my play a little bit. So I think just continue to be myself and then just try to refocus to, you know, focusing on my teammates and how I can help them.
do you think it's inevitable or no?
I don't know. I can't predict the future. You gotta ask a magic 8-ball.
That's right.
The sequence matters enormously for evaluating who bears responsibility for what followed, and the footage does not support the victimhood framing that Rivers subsequently deployed on social media. Clark pointed at the scoreboard. She received a technical foul. Rivers, who initiated the verbal exchange, received no call. And then Rivers went on social media and positioned herself as someone being wronged. This is the pattern. It is the same pattern that has appeared in a competitive context. Clark is involved. She responds or reacts. The technical foul or the penalty attaches to her. The other party in the exchange then takes to a public platform to amplify themselves as victims of what Clark's fan base does in response to their public statements. From her fan base, the player then positions themselves as the victim of Clark's fame and influence. The WNBA's institutional apparatus, which has shown no capacity to interrupt this cycle at any structural level, watches it play out without meaningful intervention. What is genuinely alarming about this specific incident is the encouragement element. When a professional athlete with a public platform and a professional relationship to this league uses that platform to encourage other people to engage negatively with the fan base of a specific player, that is not simply personal expression. That is the kind of conduct that a professional organization with functioning institutional standards would address directly and specifically with visible and proportionate consequences. The WNBA has demonstrated throughout this season that it will act slowly and minimally on documented physical incidents involving Clark. Its response to social media conduct that escalates conflict around her has been even less visible. The Commissioner's Office, which has been largely absent from direct public engagement throughout the most turbulent period this league has experienced in its commercial history, has not been prominently visible in addressing this specific situation either. This is the institutional failure repeating in a new form. The physical targeting and the social media targeting are different manifestations of the same underlying cultural problem within this league, which is that there remains a visible and persistent segment of the professional environment that is actively hostile to Clark's presence and willing to express that hostility through whatever channels are available at any given moment. The competitive dynamic is important to understand clearly. Saniya Rivers initiated the verbal exchange during the game. Clark responded with a gesture toward the scoreboard. Clark received the technical foul. This is the officiating asymmetry that has been documented in physical form all season, now appearing in its emotional and verbal form. The person who starts the exchange does not receive the call. The person who responds does. On the social media side, Rivers makes posts that inflame the situation and encourage targeting of Clark's supporters. The internet responds as internet communities respond to perceived threats to someone they have organized around. Rivers then positions the response as evidence of her own victimhood. And the cycle generates content, generates attention, generates controversy, and generates another week where talking about Clark means talking about drama rather than about the signature basketball she released, the cover she landed, or the 19-minute double-double she recorded. The coincidence argument strains credibility at this point. Too many times this season, across too many different incidents, involving too many different people, the pattern of something negative or controversial emerging at precisely the moment Clark achieves something significant has repeated itself. Whether that is coordination or simply the organic expression of a cultural hostility that has been allowed to operate without meaningful institutional consequences, the effect on Clark's experience and on the broader commercial environment of this league is the same. What should happen here is not complicated to describe, even if it is apparently difficult to implement. The WNBA's institutional leadership should address this situation with the same directness and the same proportionate response it would apply to any conduct by a professional player that inflames hostility toward another professional player's supporters and that escalates conflict in the public space around the league. That response should be visible, it should be specific, and it should communicate clearly that using a professional platform to encourage targeting of any player's fan community is conduct with professional consequences attached to it. What will likely happen is that the institution will remain quiet, the social media cycle will generate its content and exhaust its momentum, and the next week will bring another incident at precisely manufactured controversy. Clark, for her part, is entering the All-Star break having produced a season that would be the story of the year in any professional sports league willing to celebrate it honestly and completely. She landed the NBA 2K27 cover. She released a signature Wilson basketball. She recorded the first 40-point, 10-assist game in league history, presents, and what it reveals about the institutional environment this sport has constructed around its most commercially significant player. Every week that Clark's extraordinary professional environment reflects an institutional failure to create the conditions that Clark is heading into it, having had the kind of competitive week that should produce nothing but celebration and commercial momentum. Instead, it produced a technical foul for pointing at a scoreboard after an opponent initiated a verbal exchange, a social media situation involving a player who framed herself as the victim of an exchange she started, and another news cycle dominated by drama rather than by the signature basketball release, the 2K cover, or the historic 19-minute double-double. This is the story of this league right now. Extraordinary individual excellence operating inside a persistent institutional failure to protect that excellence, honor it appropriately, and prevent the cultural hostilities surrounding it from dominating every conversation at every moment, including the ones that should be entirely free of it. The break provides everyone in this situation a genuine opportunity to reset, whether they take it honestly and constructively, or whether the second half of this season continues in the same pattern as the first. is a choice sitting right now in front of the league's leadership, its players, and everyone else whose decisions shape the environment Caitlin Clark competes in every time she steps on a basketball court. The choice matters. The pattern of the first half is not acceptable, and the 19-minute double-double deserved considerably better than what surrounded it this week.